What's going on, everybody? Today is Saturday. I forgot what month 4 means. It's April 12th. We are talking episode 7 of Survivor 48. This is the final 12 and the final 11. This was the split tribal council, which I don't know why they have to do, but it's become a regularly scheduled thing. And last week we said, hey, Say's an easy boot, Cedric's an easy boot. Will probably be at least one of them. Turns out it was both of them.
I wasn't expecting it to be both of them. I
Right.
even said to Alyssa during the episode, I was like, usually one of these is straightforward and one is a little bit of a shock. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'd be a little surprised if both Cedric and Say go home, but I'd be happy about it. And my dreams came true.
Yeah. Well, I do think like the Say group, I think if it was flipped who the order that they went, I do think Say could have stuck around because Cedric, I don't know. There was this whole debate about like whether it could be Shaheen, and it seems like ultimately that just wasn't a thing. Um, and Cedric, it seems like he's just disconnected. Like he said in Exit Press that like his strength was like building bonds, and then the whole entire thing was like that he didn't have any connections with anybody.
Right.
At least in that group, I don't know. But then like the
Kind of
connections in the other
overall.
group were negative. It was Mary and Say, and so
Yeah. I
um,
think Say did go home because they didn't want her on the jury.
right. So I'm saying if she's guaranteed to be on the jury, and also the other thing too is I think they were trying to play safe because they all wanted to make the jury. Like, I
Hmm.
do think Mitch is a really appetizing option for the strength players there, whatever you want to call that group.
Yeah. I'm glad they went safe. I'm glad that we uh, are done with. I think it's a good call, honestly, to not have her on the jury because, like, if you're voting, everyone's expecting to win the game, right? If you're a player on the at this point, right? Because I mean, you get down to the end of the game, and sometimes you're like, you got to face the music with yourself, where you're just like, I'm not gonna win.
Yeah.
But like at this point, I think everyone thinks they could probably win, which is fair. Um, and you got to be thinking like, okay, if I have a chance here to really like pick pick someone who I don't want on the jury is essentially what that vote is.
Mhm.
It's safe for pretty much everybody, I would say.
Right. Just because you don't know
You don't know
what
what
she's
she's
going
gonna
to
do.
do, but you know that she's going to feel strongly about it.
Right.
And it's not a risk you're willing to take with the person that you know, or that at least you don't have a strong connection to. And even if
Right.
you do, there's a chance she's just like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
saw. Did you read Dalton Ross's interview with
No.
her? She basically said, uh, "I wouldn't vote for anyone to win because it wasn't me. I would keep putting Jeff's name down on the paper, and we would be there all night." Is what she said.
Yeah. Which is like a joke, but also it kind of like there was
I
one
wouldn't
person
put
to
it
do it.
past her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, so yeah, these were, like I said, I thought the two decoy boots were pretty interesting discussions here. Um, I guess we'll just go in order. I guess so. Say, um, she even says pretty much in this episode, she's like, "Yeah, I'm the easy boot," um, and I like I said, I think that's probably the driving factor in the fact that like the person who gets voted out is not going to make the jury in that group. And so I think that and like she sits down with Joe at one point and she's like, should we talk? And he's like, yeah, like if you want to. And she's like, we haven't talked strategy yet. And that was almost like it.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think that whatever anytime I try to find a new slant on Say, it always circles back to a negative opinion. And I just feel like I'm dunking on her at that point. But
Oh, I am. I am dunking on her.
yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like it's your life in the game. Like fight a little bit. I know that it's obvious that you're on the bottom, but there's been a lot of people in the history of Survivor that it's obvious they're on the bottom and like just fighting and like trying to find something. Like Mitch is a guy that should go. Like they
Hmm.
all say it pretty much. And it's
Hmm.
almost like they just need to be convinced a little bit. And yeah, I think Joe is the guy to do it with, or even Eva, because she's like a little more volatile, but she has his ear. Like, try something, man. But Say like also wanted Eva gone, so
Right.
she's
Yeah.
like she wouldn't work with Eva because she's like, well, I already went for her, and like Say as a player is like, hey, if you vote for me, it's done. So she thinks like Eva wouldn't work with her probably because she's like, hey,
Hmm.
Cedric voted for me twice, so I randomly vote for Cedric. Like
Right.
that's her
And
logic.
she can't put it past her what she wants to have happen versus what she needs to do in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants something to happen. Like she doesn't want to work with Joe and Eva. She wants to get Eva out. She can't put that past her to like save herself in the game. Like that's just what she has to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought it was just like a really interesting strategy for her at Tribal to kind of just be like, uh, you know what? You guys are all fucking idiots if you vote me out. Right? Like, why would you do like I'm the obvious vote. I would like respect you way more as game players if you didn't vote me out. Like, what kind of argument is that? Like, that's like to stay around insult the rest of the tribe. I
Right.
don't
Yeah,
I
and
don't know that. I don't know. And obviously it didn't work. So like
right, and to your point at the beginning of the episode where she says, uh, it's essentially like Cedric's kind of like, oh, who wrote my name down? And we get this Say confessional. And she's like, I had to get my lick back. I'm like, this is Say in a nutshell. Like, it's funny, but it's so pointless. Like, why
mhm,
would you vote for him?
right.
It just doesn't make. But she, like you said, she she wants Cedric to feel the heat, and so she just has to vote for him, even though it's like it's between her and Charity, and she should definitely be voting for Charity. Um,
Yeah, like I said, she can't put her what she wants to have happen versus what she needs to have happen.
yeah. Other stuff from this tribal, I guess. So Mitch, the he does something a little bit interesting here that I think I actually kind of like. I'm a big fan. Like as there've been more idols and advantages and stuff these more recent seasons, and especially with Beware advantages and stuff, it becomes more. It seems like it's just more free flowing information. Who has what, and so it seems at this point everybody knows that Mitch has a block vote, which he has no one to blame but himself because he told his whole original tribe, and it turns out they don't want to work with him. So everybody knows he has the block vote, and he tells Joe that, hey, I'm going to use the block vote. There's no point to it, but I'm going to burn it just to prove to you that I'll do what I say because it is a valuable thing to him if he uses it at the right time. And so throwing it away for Joe's loyalty, quote unquote,
Mm,
um, is a decent move. And I think I like it just because it lowers the threat level of like him. He's a guy that is a huge threat because he's always one of the. I mean, not in this challenge, although he was a top half competitor in this challenge, but he's always one of the two or three best competitors in every challenge. And I think when you have a guy like that who is clearly smart, who doesn't have allies, it's just that's who goes in these kind of spots where it's like, okay, an easy vote, but we're also like getting something done. Like Mitch is a guy that nobody wants to sit next to at the end. So I do think trying to lower that threat level is is admirable. I still think he's going one of the next couple votes, if I had to
yeah,
guess.
I think so too. And I a block a vote is something that's so hard to execute correctly,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not in the majority. Like Mitch is someone who, like we said, doesn't have a ton of allies, so I'm not really sure what a block a vote would really do for him because you use a block a vote when you like need to swing when you need to swing the vote, like when it's
Mm-hmm.
close and you need to swing it to your side, right?
Yeah.
Or if you think someone has an idol, you could do that. Or no, that doesn't block it, right?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who, like the mechanics of it, but
Yeah. But in majority of time it's like you block someone's vote when you need to swing the vote to your side, and
right.
that's just a situation that he is not going to find himself in the foreseeable future, I don't think, where
Mm-hmm.
he needs to make that decision to either save himself or save one of his allies because he doesn't really have a ton of close bonds. So I think burning that advantage at the chance of getting a close bond is a good move. Like I do really agree with that. Plus, it did serve like a minor purpose in that like Say then couldn't play her shot in the dark.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's true
like
too.
so at least like it did have like at least some sort of purpose. It wasn't just for nothing.
Hmm.
And I don't know, maybe Joe when Mitch's name comes up the next time says like, maybe we can work with him, or maybe he defends him in some sort of way, because if you're gonna do it, I think Joe is the guy to do that with.
Right.
Him or
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
so
The two honor integrity guys.
yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So
Absolutely.
like at least that's a good read too. I thought it was a good move pretty much all around. I don't know what else he could have done with that block vote that I would have thought it would have been a better move.
Yeah, and I think that there was a little bit of you know, coulda went sideways for him. I think if he says to Joe, "Hey, I'm gonna burn it," and Joe's like, "Well, hey, what if you give it to me?" Right?
Hmm.
And at that point, you're getting into the territory of, okay, everybody knows Mitch has it. If he gives it to Joe, Joe is then behooved to vote him out because now Mitch is the only one who knows Joe has it.
Hmm.
So there is that aspect to it. So I think offering it and that being a possibility of Joe asking for it is a little bit of a risk. But I think, like you said, knowing your audience, I don't think that Joe is the kind of guy who's gonna ask for it just so that he could vote you out. I think he's like, oh,
Right.
okay, this is a gesture. I'll take it at face value, and we'll move on.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think for for an episode where like Mitch could have been going home, I think he did come out of it looking pretty okay. Like he did as best as he could. Like that's how I end up feeling about Mitch like a lot of the time. Where like I like him as a person, like as a character on the show, as a person.
Hmm.
Um and everything in the edit is reading that he's gonna go home,
Yeah.
basically. But like a lot of times I come out like battling those two feelings, like how I feel about him and and I come out and like, he probably did about like as good as he could have,
Yeah.
like given the circumstances like provided to him. So
Right.
like, I mean, people basically don't like the people don't like him because he was originally wanted to work with charity and he's like decent at challenges, right? Those are the reasons.
Right.
So like he's not playing a bad game. People just have like, and it happens to people in Survivor. Like you get this like if you get voted for, that never leaves you, or if like there's this sticking opinion about you that like you need to be gone because you're a threat. I think it's because he is such a good story that people want to get him
Yeah.
out too. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, can you fault people? No, but like, I mean, that's kind of a sucky way to like get voted out of Survivor because like you're halfway decent at challenges. You were loosely aligned with someone like votes ago,
Yeah.
and you are a good story. Like that kind of sucks, but
Right. The other thing from this group, which you mentioned to me before we started, and I also had it written down, Star had a big confessional about making the final three.
Mhm.
And although part of it too was about winning the game, and although I don't think she's going to win the game, I actually really like the idea of Star being the third place finisher on the season.
She has done the thing that like the third place finishers do, where they start out like super hot, like either
Hmm.
good or bad. Like hers
Yeah.
was not good, and then like they just kind of fade fade into obscurity in the strategic sense, but are like ever present in the episode anyway.
Right.
Like Star has been consistently like having one or two like golden moments in every episode that like I really enjoy, or like good confessionals even when like she's not involved in the strategy. I don't know if she is like involved in the strategy very often just in general, but like
I think she's
uh
like a fringe, like she gets told what to do, but she's in the
right.
numbers kind of deal.
So that to me screams that she's not going to get voted out anytime soon. Is they're still making an effort to put her
Hmm.
in the show.
Yeah, I agree. I do think this thing with Eva, I didn't love it at first because I was like, well, you're latching yourself onto Eva because of something that Eva had with everybody. But it does seem like it has re-ingratiated her into the numbers of the original purples. And they've lost Thomas and Bianca, who were the two like frisky players of that group. And they're left with people that at least want to be loyal to each other. Like Shauheen he's also a little bit squirrely, but I think like Joe and Eva are never going to turn on each other. And I think if you're Star and you align yourself with that group, like because they never want to turn on each other, they're just looking for more people who also won't turn on them. And I think
Right.
that Star is the Star's a great person to keep around, and I think that there's going to be a lot of these kind of like floater type people that go soon, and
Mm-hmm.
I think she's going to be like the last of the bunch, pretty much,
Yeah.
if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Other thing, I think that's about it from that group. The second tribal council, there was this was one of the better decoys I've seen
Yeah.
in recent memory
I
because
really thought it was Shaheen.
I thought so too
Yeah.
because there's all the looking around at tribal council. Like pretty much every time that he talks, he had 6 confessionals in this episode. It's felt like he had 20. Every
Mm-hmm.
single fucking thing that anybody was talking about was about him. Chrissy was even talking about that he should go. She wasn't even in this group, and he was so. This is another one again. Like I talk about, uh, people who right before the merge, they're like, oh, it's like there was a missed opportunity not getting this person out before the merge because now they're about to do shit. I wonder if this is what we just saw again because everybody's like, man, could really be a good time to get rid of Shauheen. And then, so the hang up, because Kyle and Camilla really want to do this, but they know that if they get Shauheen out now, there's numbers in David and Joe and Eva and that whole crew that will then get them out
Right.
because in the Honor and Integrity Alliance, you have to be acting in self-defense, right? You cannot be the aggressor. And so that's why Camilla, she has this whole thing where she wants to frame Shauheen, which I think is a good idea, but I think the execution wasn't correct where she wants to get him out now. So she says to David, I think he has the idol, which isn't really a good idea or a good reason to turn on somebody if you're all
Mm-hmm.
about the like honor integrity deal.
Right.
So David's not going to want to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would have been much better to act like Shauheen wanted to like so Camilla her role in this group is interesting. It seems like she's fully in the group now just
Mm-hmm.
about. So I wonder if Kyle going to David and saying Shauheen suggested Camilla, like because Camilla's a fringe person, it could make it seem like okay, Shauheen is trying to like bend the rules of the alliance almost, and I
Yeah.
think that maybe could have been a little bit more convincing. But
I
I think
think
that I just
good. You finish.
I was just gonna say I think the smarter thing to do would be to plant a seed this week, but still go along with the plan. Make yourself seem more trustworthy still,
Mm-hmm.
and then look for when the whole group is together. You're just gonna have more opportunities to pin something on them.
I think you get. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because I think you get into a territory where it can be traced back to that you were lying if you
Yeah,
suggest that, which is a bigger issue in that specific group. Because if you pitch that, oh hey, Shauheen was pitching Camilla, like,
yeah.
and
He's just gonna
Shauheen,
go to him.
yeah, he's just gonna go to Shauheen and be like, what are you doing pitching somebody in our group? And he's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Because, like, ultimately, if he wants to get Camilla out, he needs David to do that. So, like,
Right.
he wouldn't lie to David about,
Yeah, he wouldn't
like,
go to Kyle first. Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
point.
And, like, he would ultimately need, uh, need everyone else's vote in their alliance.
Yeah,
So, like, he wouldn't lie about that. You know what I mean? So, like, I think, I do agree that the, hey, I think he has the idol isn't. I don't think it's strong enough to get people to turn. I think it's like too weak of a push. I think because that is something that he would lie about having an idol, where
yeah,
like it couldn't get back. It could get back to you, but not in a way that you could still defend yourself and say like, no, he's lying. It turns into a
right.
he said she said, and then at that point, uh, David and Joe are kind of just like, well, like what like I don't know what they end up doing in that scenario. And he said she said like, you probably err on the side of caution of like, well, maybe he was lying, so we might as well get him out anyway, or else we'll never truly know or whatever. But I think maybe you pitch that you like saw it in his bag or something or like I don't know if you want to go
Right.
through his bag then
Which is the
because then
exact opposite of why he's threatened by Shaheen, because Shaheen saw it in his bag.
right exactly.
It's like, hey,
So
this is a great reason to not trust somebody. I don't trust someone for this reason.
yeah, so I don't really know. I don't think that this because it didn't fully make sense.
Hmm.
I wonder if how much of this was manufactured by production
Yeah.
because like usually if it's something that actually happened on the show, there's like a clear line of reasoning for someone. And
Yeah.
like there's a good reason to get Xiaoyin out, but like I don't know, all the bits and pieces didn't really add up. And I wonder if this was like tossed around and then like they were like, no, like that doesn't we're not gonna do anything based on that. If he has the idol, that's fine, or maybe he'll tell us or what like whatever. But and then like production was like, that's a pretty good storyline if we can
Yeah.
if
Yeah, I wonder if it was, like I said, plant seeds, and I wonder if they were just like planting a subtle seed with the idol thing, and then they kind of manufactured it into something more. Camilla seemed really excited about it, though,
right.
so I
But
don't know.
she's pretty excitable.
That's a good point. Yeah. Um,
But
and
I don't
yeah,
know.
again, or go
I would
ahead.
hate to see Xiaoheen go because he has been like on that short list of actual like winner picks for me from the beginning,
Yeah.
and I do kind of agree with you that like this is the spot where the winner falls under like some duress basically,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good way to I think production does it very strategically because you need to show that the winner has some weakness or was threatened at some point if they
Hmm.
were a dominant winner. And I think showcasing it in a split tribe where not everyone's voting and like it's chaos and you never know what's going to happen, and then for them to still not go home, like I think that's a good way for them to showcase like, hey, they didn't have it wasn't roses the whole way type of
Right.
thing. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know if Shaheen is actually the guy to get rid of if you're Kyle and Camilla, because I feel like yes, it knocks down a peg, but I think David and Joe are really the two, like, just their philosophy on this game is not going to waver.
hmm
And Eva is never going to go away from Joe. Like, I think it's much better to try to get, and I mean, I don't want to speculate too much on like the previews for next time, but looks like Camilla has shifted her focus to Joe or to David next week.
hmm
Um and I think that just makes a little more sense because Shaheen, Joe, and Eva are all, they've spent like the entire game together pretty much. I know Eva was apart for a vote or two, but they've been together since the beginning. David is kind of like the newer addition, and his philosophy is what is getting in the way of you making the moves you want to make. I think it's a much more likely path to victory if you say, okay, Shaheen, he is the one who's most likely to make a move. Um, and instead of saying that's threatening to me, I would target David, find a reason to get rid of David, and then Shaheen is kind of a swing vote. But if he's doing something overly aggressive, it's probably against Joe and Joe and Eva because that's who he's tied to. So if he was to do something duplicitous, you would actually be the first benefactor. Probably he would probably go to you because
hmm
you're his next closest working relationship.
hmm
So I personally kind of like the idea of keeping Shaheen around, getting rid of one of the Joe David pillars,
hmm
and I think David is the easier person to get rid of because then you kind of break down the like the alliance loses the mission statement almost, and then
Yeah.
it's like, well, what do we like? We're all still kind of working together, but like we're not. What they originally set out to do was to like play an old school game and get down to a certain number.
hmm
And I think if you blow that up, then it's like, yeah, we're still here, but like, what is? It's like a fantasy football league that you just have done forever, and then it's like,
Mhm.
well, I guess I'll keep doing it because I've always done it, but like, I don't actually care. But I'm gonna go find a different league. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think David is the one to go for as opposed to Joe. Um, because I think David is really the the genesis of this
Yeah.
idea, right? Like Joe has been tied to Eva specifically, but I don't think really otherwise he was ever like I need to be loyal to everyone. He was kind of just like, my ride or die is Eva, and I have a ride or die in this game. He was not
Yeah.
like he's a little more like
I think
willing
you're
to.
forgetting that him and David bonded over milk in
Oh
the,
right,
at the
right.
merge.
Well, that's what I'm saying. David is like he's like the he's like a Boston Rob figure where like this is the mission statement and no one can go outside the mission statement
Yeah.
or like he
A
doesn't have I
comparison I
don't think
didn't think I'd hear today, but it is. It does make
it
sense.
makes
You are
sense.
right. Yeah.
I know. We're like, this is the mission statement, and anyone outside of the mission statement is going to get targeted because it's self defense. And I don't know if he would actually execute it like that. And Boston Rob's doing it in a villainous way, where this would be, he would be genuinely like hurt by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're like, it'd be like two sides of the same coin, where like, the outcome's the same, but like the whole reasoning for it is the complete opposite.
Right.
It's the political spectrum where it ends in a circle. You're like, these two people shouldn't like each other at all, but they agree on 95% of things.
Right.
Uh, but I think David is the one to go for because if that pillar falls, I think when Joe was in the alliance in on original Purple with Shaheen and Thomas, like they were all for like kind of conniving, backstabbing, that sort of
Yeah.
thing, as long as it wasn't Eva was his thing
Exactly.
because that was his ride or die. And I think we've seen some confessionals from Joe where he is more like strategic minded, where like he doesn't mind thinking outside of the David box. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
like I think they just get. I don't even know how much he really agrees with how badly David's going in on this, but like they get together and they just kind of like spiral into the same like extreme idea of this loyalty where like if you can like pull them out of that uh you can go back to like a semi-normal in air quotes like gameplay, I guess. So I think David is the one to go for, was the whole
Yeah.
point of
And
that.
I don't even know if you need to vote David out is the thing because like if so his whole thing is the honest integrity thing like we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
And the group is kind of like centered around not him but that like idea, and as long as he's in there, like, he'll go after someone who breaks it, right? But what if he's the one who breaks it? I think if you like are able to knock him off center in a way like and this is the interesting thing of Kyle and Camilla. Like I do think they're the people to execute something like this where you get some kind of plan together where you don't say, hey, Shaheen is doing this, that, and the other, and, it's a little duplicitous. We should maybe get rid of him first because, like, he's not acting against us, but, like, I mean, look at what he's doing. Like, do you want to wait to get shot before you shoot back kind of deal?
Right.
But
Han shot first.
right, if they could work out a situation where David becomes the aggressor and then it's almost like one of those like tragic characters in like that gets like a 2 episode or a 3 episode arc in like a drama like TV drama or something like that
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, wait, I have become everything I hated, like what the like shit, like I really messed this up. And
Yeah.
so then it's like the idea of the alliance, the mission statement of the alliance is gone now
Mm-hmm.
because the guy who pounds the drum for it doesn't even believe in it anymore. He would probably go on some level of downward spiral where he is like, you know, he probably wouldn't be happy with himself, but then it's like, I think he would be like, oh, well, I've passed the point of no return. Now I have to play like this almost.
I think this is much easier to execute when you are back on one beach with everyone.
Yeah, I
Because
100% agree.
because I think how you do it is you take someone else who is on the outs and like kind of pair them off, David and that person off together, and you have
Hmm.
a couple separate people go up to David and be like, "Hey, like I saw Shaheen and this person going off like alone. Like they might have been talking strategy, but you don't pitch anything, and then like that's the
Right.
end of it. Like more of just like a hey, I wanted to let you know type of thing,
Yeah.
and then like let him. And he's like, man, like I had a couple separate people like come up to me and say something, and then let him kind of devolve into like maybe we should like if you could get him to pitch Shaheen and then tell Shaheen that David pitched him and be like, I thought you were supposed to be all about loyalty, like what, and then
Right.
like turn it right back on. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
And
that's the
then
way
he'd
to
be
do
like,
it.
well, because he thought he was doing the right thing all along.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best kind of villains is when you're like, he thought he was doing the right thing the entire time.
Hmm.
And then you get like self righteous because you thought you were doing the heroic thing. And
Hmm.
you're like, no, I never did anything wrong. You're wrong. And then you become a supervillain, which I
Like,
don't think he's
what would
going
be
to
really
do.
this is
But
the second Star Wars reference I'm about to make in 30 seconds. What would be really good for the galaxy if we had like one centralized government where
yeah.
where we could like crack down on taxes and trade and like make sure that the small planets are getting their fair share, and then we
Yeah,
just are the empire.
exactly. Uh, yeah, so I think his trajectory, I think he's gonna drive a decent bit of like these next couple votes here. So there's a lot of people online saying that this season is boring, and it's because I think it's just because the uh, physically strong people have decided that it's season 5 again, and they're gonna
I don't think
stick
this
together.
season is boring at all. I had to get
I
off
don't
of
think so
Twitter
either.
this morning. I was getting so frustrated with online. Like how you're on if you're on Twitter for too long, you're like, why
Yeah,
am I even mad about this?
right, exactly. Well,
And
that's a
like,
thing that I struggle with for a long time where I was like, man, everybody thinks this thing that I don't think. And I'm like, it almost like changes your views on stuff.
yeah,
And then you're like, at a certain point, you're like, wait, people don't actually think like if you if you just go to a different medium, you're like, wait, nobody else actually thinks this.
right.
And it's just
And
you happen to be stuck in the echo chamber.
the people, I think this is an instance where the Venn diagram is a circle where
Hmm.
the people who are saying it's boring are the say online defenders who
Yeah.
like they're the same people. It's
Right.
the Venn diagram is a circle, and they think it's boring because I don't know, the whole cast is misogynistic and racist and XYZ and all all that stuff, and it has to be boring because Say got voted out now. But like
Right.
that's the online contingency where I'm like reading it, I'm like, what am I even upset about? No one thinks this. Like it's
Yeah.
just people online. Like why am I mad about this?
Yeah, I think that and just the fact of like where the episode left off, it looks like this group could dominate if they want to. And people don't like if they dominate. And so they're just saying now that it's boring. And then when it starts to get boring, they'll be like, it's been boring for so long. But I think
Right.
it's actually been a really good season. Like the pre merge was really good and like Thomas going out, Bianca
Hmm.
going out, like there was a lot of big. Honestly, I think Cedric going is worse for the entertainment value because Say just exists in a bubble, and like
Hmm.
if you like her, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? If you
She's not
like her,
dynamic.
yeah,
Like
if
it's
you
the
like
same
her
story.
sound bites,
Yeah.
she's fun. But yeah, she's not dynamic. She's the same every week. Cedric is the like agent of chaos,
He
and I
is.
think
He
he is
is.
like the worst one to lose, honestly. But
I
he
think
did
this
have no
is
pull, so
I think it's a really good cast. I don't have like really any complaints to be honest. I think everyone has been pretty interesting. Like
yeah,
everyone has their own niche of like this type of interesting, and I think it works together really well. This has been probably my favorite cast in a while. I don't know. I like it.
yeah. And there, I think the perfect encapsulation of like that opinion is I saw a TikTok where it said something about it so it was a picture of Shaheen, David, Joe, and Eva, and it was like essentially like when these kind of people run shit is boring, or like stop casting people like this because they're boring. And I commented and I was like, I actually like having people like this to kind of balance out like not everyone's a game bot and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's just boring if they hold control for a very long amount of time.
Hmm.
And the original poster commented, and they were like, "Yeah, I agree with that." And I was like, "Okay, so nothing
Yeah,
has happened yet
yeah,
with on
right.
that front."
Yeah, and like I don't. The thing is, when you're casting people, and you obviously want a diverse cast because a diverse cast leads to interesting storylines. If you get the same 20 of the same people, of the
Hmm.
same person, it's not going to be interesting because it's going to be the same thing the entire season. So, like, when you got to look at it from Survivor Productions' perspective of casting, right? And you look at David, Joe, Eva, and you say Shaheen was the fourth person.
Yep.
That is a very diverse group of
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Like you can't like look at that when you're casting and be like, oh, these people are gonna form an alliance and they're gonna be the strong, loyal alliance. Like they would never know that. Like,
Right.
how could you possibly think like you have like this like you have a Persian guy, someone like an autistic female college athlete, like a dad and a stunt performer. Like they're not like in any like respect of anything.
Right.
So like I don't understand how you can be like stop casting these people. That's like four different, totally different types of people.
Yeah, and I think it's just like usually the alpha males would go, like you said, all the alpha males of the season except for Kyle, who's also working with them.
Hmm.
And usually those guys target each other just because it's human nature for guys to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like everybody finds loyalty in, two or three people usually. And
Hmm.
it just so happens to have lined up. Like, I really think if David wasn't on the tribe with Eva, right? Or like if you swap David with Thomas, David probably goes there, and even though they agree with each other like on some levels, it just wouldn't have made
Hmm.
sense to keep him. And I think like it was never, like you said, it was never a given that this group of people would work together. It just so happens that it reminds me a lot of Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, where it felt like all the like at this there was a tribe swap, and all the strong players, like it was like, hey, I'm aligned with this one other person, and
Hmm.
I have this new person that I'm aligned with, and those people were connected, and like there was like two or three of those, and it formed like a six-person alliance born out of like essentially like this random crossover of people that it just so happened to
Hmm.
be that way. And sometimes it just happens that way.
Hmm.
And it's not the evil anything.
Yeah, it's just how it worked out.
Right. Okay, so we are going to jump to winner equity. We're doing tiers this time. So we've got two kind of qualifiers here. We've got the edit and our opinion. So pretty much we're going to have three tiers. One is going to be if the edit supports them as a winner, and also if we feel that they could be a winner. That's going to be the top tier. The bottom tier is if neither of those are the case, and then the middle tier is going to be if we feel like they have one and not the other.
Hmm.
So, um, how do we want to do this? Because I don't want to go in ranking order, because then it's like,
Yeah, then you kind of go in the same order as the.
yeah. Do
You
we
want to
go
do by
alphabetical? We
you
want to
want to do
nominate
by
people?
original tribe?
Okay. Do you have them pulled up?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. You
We'll
can
start with
lead
we
it
can
then.
start with green because it's just Mary.
Sure. Mary. Okay. I have her at the top of the bottom tier. I don't think the
Okay.
edit really supports her as a winner. Um, she's one of those people that she's in the edit because she actually is interesting and funny,
Hmm.
and entertaining. I don't really see her having any leg to stand on to like get to the end and win. She'd
Hmm.
really have to pick it up, I think. Um, but I mean, she's free of Say and Cedric, so on the surface, it's easier to be like, yeah, she's a free agent. So maybe she works in that way. Um, if you have her in the middle tier, I'm not going to argue with her because I do really like Mary. I do think if she got to the end, she's the kind of person who, like, she could hold your attention by being funny, but also she knows what's up. She's a good player,
Yeah.
um, and so yeah, I got her at the top of that bottom tier. I think.
I have her at the bottom of the middle tier. is
Okay,
where I have her.
there
So
you go.
like really close. But I just would go like a little step further and say that I think she could. She's been a little bit out of the edit in
Hmm.
the recent, but now once we settle down and get to the true post merge, after this where everyone's voting every time, um, I think she could wiggle in somewhere and do it. I'm not counting her out, even though I have her done Chin because I counted her out originally. But um, yeah, I don't think the edit supports her really at all. But I support Barry
That's true.
as
Yeah.
a winner.
Um.
Also, the other funny thing about Mary is, did you see what the name of the swap tribe?
Yeah. It's like
Or
milk or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like I don't know how to say it. Let me pull up
It's like
the
Niu Nua or something like that.
Neone. I
Niu
think it's
Ne.
Neone, and that's just milk in Mandarin for
There
for
you go.
David and Joe, which is great. I think that's so funny. But that was
Uh.
her choosing, I believe.
Yeah. Was that like a secret scene or something? Does she explain?
Uh, I
I
believe I don't know if it was an interview or a cut scene or something, but
That's the thing I would like to know is if she actually knew that and she was like, yeah, this is like milk and Mandarin, like this could be you guys love milk, so here it is.
mhm.
Or if it's like Boston Rob with Merlonio, where
Yeah,
she where she's like, hey guys, this is milk in Mandarin, and then it means something completely different.
yeah. No, it does actually mean milk in Mandarin.
Okay,
And
there you go. Yeah,
it
so
does for real mean milk in Mandarin. And I read somewhere that she had said that she wanted some some Chinese closed captioning on the TV so her grandparents would watch it or her parents would
okay.
watch the show. So they have to they have the neonate on there for
There you go.
Mary's folks.
There you go. Yeah, see, Mary, this is the kind of shit. She's just interesting.
That's why I don't think she wins though, because if she said that on the show, they would put her in they would put
That's
it
a
in.
good point.
They'd
Yeah.
put it in.
Um yeah, okay. So all right, who do you got next here?
We can move over to purple. We'll do Eva.
Okay, Eva, I have in the middle tier. I don't know
Hmm.
that I really believe in. Well, I don't believe in that because I have it as I think the edit supports her as at least a person to really watch. I don't really see it. I've never thought that she's a great player. Her strategy seems just a little frantic, I would say maybe, and I think that she has good allies, and I think that could take her far in the game. And to her credit, she hasn't had a bad idea and just gone off the deep end with it and done something that she shouldn't have done, just in the pursuit of her own idea, just because it's her idea. There's
Hmm.
bad players who would do that. So I don't see it. We were talking before this. I think her peak is getting to the final two with Joe and losing to Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we have the exact same take on Eva. I have her in the middle tier as well. I think that the edit supports her, but I don't think she can can win. I don't know if I could pick two other people that's what it comes down to. Can you pick two other people that if they're in the end with them, that they beat both of them?
Right. And I don't think like if she gets there with Star and like maybe Chrissy, but then it's like
How did that
you
even
just
happen?
Frankenstein these combos of like how does that
How
happen?
does that happen?
Right.
Yeah. So I have her in the middle tier. I think the edit just likes her as a character on the show. I think
Mhm.
Jeff really likes her, and I think that's what's showing through the edit. I don't necessarily know if it's a winner's edit, but I can't read the winner's edit anymore.
Me neither.
So what do I know?
Okay. Yeah. And you
Uh,
can also go first on some of these too if you want.
okay, yeah. Next
So I don't
is we'll
step
go
on
with
your
Joe
toes.
next. That makes sense.
Okay.
I think Joe. I'd put him at the bottom of the top tier. Is where I would have
That's
Joe.
where I happen to.
It because
So I want you to go first. I
yeah,
was like, we're gonna start agreeing too much.
yeah. I think Joe is someone who the edit definitely think could win. I think he's a good player, especially in this alliance with David, who would never turn on him. Um, and I think the edit supports him as having this strong bond in this alliance, and also to Eva, who the edit also really supports. I think his best chance of winning is probably keeping this alliance strong.
Hmm.
Them as a group cutting Shaheen and then him turning on David
Yeah,
would be
I
his
think so
path.
too.
And I think that's fairly likely, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there are other people left that have a better shot to win than him. I wouldn't put him in the top couple, but he's up there.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it feels weird to me to have him in the top tier
Mm-hmm.
because he like kind of just barely has both. Where I'm like,
Right.
I could see it, sure. So that's where he gets my support.
And
And
that's the
from
end.
the
It's like, I could see it, sure.
right, but here's an interesting thing that I did put the confessional data together this week, or put together. I copied it off of Just Strategic on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
but so there's 10 people left now. Where do you think he ranks in terms of confessionals?
Hmm. Seventh.
Yeah, he's eighth.
Hmm.
Isn't
Yeah, I
that
don't
really
see
surprising?
see a lot of them. Yeah.
Right.
If I sat down, I wouldn't. If you asked me like off the cuff, before like framing it that way, I probably
Yeah.
would have said higher. But sitting it down and thinking it for like a couple seconds,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I would have said like fifth or sixth, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just Star and Chrissy have less than him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Thomas
I can't
has
believe
more
Mary.
confessionals than Joe.
Mary has more.
Huh?
I'm surprised Mary has more. She hasn't really.
Yeah, she's the next one above him. Thomas has more confessionals than, or they have the same amount. Isn't
That's
that crazy? He's
shocking.
been out
That
for
is
3
shocking.
weeks.
Yeah. It's
And he didn't have a ton.
the Banu. How
Yeah.
long can we go if someone voted out has more confessionals than the person who isn't?
Yeah, and he's actually tied with a bunch of people. He's also tied with Bianca and Cedric.
Well, Cedric.
Yeah, right. But that's what I mean is like there's voted out people that he has the same amount of confessionals as.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if he was a female, I would say could still win because that's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
female winners
He'd
could
be
edit it.
higher.
Yeah, as a guy, as a man, how do you have
As
this
a-
many confessionals?
How do we let
or
this
not?
happen as men?
Yeah, this is not how the patriarchy is supposed to function. Is Joe
Yeah.
having the eighth most confessions?
What's the point of having a patriarchy if we can't take advantage of it and survive?
Right. Yeah, so it's just like it's interesting. I agree with you. Like I think that's why I think he sticks with the alliance, not because he is with David in this whole honor integrity business, but because he's like it just behooves him the most of anybody else because he's the most well insulated person in this
Right.
group, pretty much.
All right. Next would be Xiaoyin.
I would love to hear your opinion on this first.
I have to. So
I'll go first if you need
No,
to.
no, I got it. I'm gonna talk it out. I think he can win.
Hmm.
It's me deciding what the edit thinks of him that's the tricky part. I think.
Yeah.
I think that the edit thinks he can also win. I would put
Okay.
him. It's close though. It's weird. He's a weird one because he could either be like solidly in the middle tier where the edit doesn't think he can win at all, or he could be solidly in the top tier where the edit really thinks he could win. It's just how you interpret it.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
So I think my personal feelings are pushing the edit in one direction for him,
Yeah.
which is that he can win. I think he. I don't know. I really like Camilla and Kyle as winners too. Not to jump the ship on them, but we've been talking about that for weeks. If you're just listening to this episode, welcome, I guess.
Yeah. Come on in, guys.
But
Or come on in.
uh,
Just that.
come on in, y'all.
Yeah.
How about that? Jeff's from
Castaways.
Survivor had their had that event in Nashville. Come on in, y'all.
Yeah. There you go.
Jeff Country, who knew? He's the most LA person of all time.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Took him off the back lot in Burbank. But Shaheen, I think he can win. I think the edit thinks he can win. I think this was something that the edit wanted to show us that he can overcome adversity even if there wasn't adversity to be had.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna place him solidly in the top tier. He exhibits like an old school winner, which means he's not gonna win. But I would like him to win. Old school in the sense of 30s, not old school in the sense of like
Yeah.
teens. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? That's old school now. It's like
I
early
know.
30s.
Yeah. When I
Jeremy
say
Collins
old,
is an old school player.
well, when I said old school, like when I'm talking old school versus like new old era versus new era,
Yeah.
is more what I meant. But
We need there's going to be, I think it needs to be defined that there's a middle school.
middle
Like,
school, yeah,
it's,
it exists. Elementary school, middle school, high school.
yeah. Um, okay. So, yeah, Shaheen. So I have him in the middle tier, and I pretty much agreed with everything you said. So his edit for me, if you asked me a week ago, I would have put him solidly in the top tier.
Mm,
I just feel like they're putting such an emphasis on that there's so many people, even David in this, but he doesn't ultimately turn on Shaheen, but he pretty much says, like, Shaheen's a really threatening guy, and I am a little worried about that. And again, I've pushed this as, when other players say this, that it's showing you why people vote for him at the end. When it's like, Camilla and Shaheen, they haven't shared a ton of screen time. Why would Camilla vote for him? And you're seeing all of this evidence of like Camilla respecting his game and like viewing him as a threatening player essentially. And if that person gets to the end, you're behooved to vote for them. So Marty.
he likes that opinion.
He does, yeah.
A good grunt.
But yeah, so I agree with you that my personal opinion is that he can definitely win. He's been a guy that he's probably been my favorite player so far, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of, I feel like it's the person that my mentality most aligns with, pretty much.
Yeah.
Of this, respecting the loyalty factor of the game and kind of waiting for your opportunity to pounce. He's definitely not one of these like pushover pussies that's just gonna like do the loyalty thing until it's like detrimental to them.
Right.
He's just looking for his spot, and I think that's the kind of game I would aim to play. But yeah, it's one of those things that like in the edit, it's just like the stink of being a target is on him. And
right.
Can he get rid of it? I just don't know.
I mean, I just take Chrissy's word as gospel. So everything Chrissy says.
As everyone should in this life.
Shaheen's a target. They'd be dumb not to get rid of him here.
Yeah.
Star is the last person on the original purple.
Yeah.
You can go first with Star.
Sure. Yeah. I have Star in the can't win tier. Like I said, the very low confessional number, and most of her stuff is comedic. That's just her personality. She's funny. But we don't get a ton of strategy from her. It's just, even in the kind of conversation of underedited winners in the new era, I still don't think she really fits the bill. I love Star as a character, and I hope we're right that she's going all the way to the final three, because I would enjoy it. So, but yep. I think seriously ranking her, I'd put her in the bottom tier.
Yeah, I put her in the bottom tier as well. I really like her, and like you said, I like seeing her on my TV. She's great, and I hope she makes it to the finale. She's someone who I could personally, like outside of the sanctity of the game, root for to win because I like her. Mm-hmm. But do I think she has a real chance? No, unfortunately. What if she just goes on a tear? Like she's been sandbagging the strategy the entire pre-merge. We just get a confessional out the gate after this episode. Just be like, all right, my plan is coming to fruition. They all think I'm dumb. Like I've been playing this pushover until we got to this point, and now it's on. Now like I'm gonna start taking out X, Y, Z, and I got the numbers here because they voted for me They voted with me 2 weeks ago, and I can see it.
It would kind of be like it'd be like a Marianne level turn, where you're like, she's just the really likable person, and she's like, oh, she's been on the screen because she's getting towards the end pretty much, and then the Omer, she's like, I've got this here, and you're like, whoa, is she about to do this? And then the finale comes around, and you're like, yeah, it just is Marianne, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Carolyn a little. If Carolyn pulled it out,
if Carolyn won,
yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for that tribe, right?
Yep. We'll go to original orange. We'll start with Chrissy.
Yeah, there's 5 of them left. I didn't realize they're half this group. What if they go back to orange strong here?
What a group.
The hilarious thing about David's loyalty deal is that he had an original alliance with Chrissy, and I think he would scoff at the idea of doing original oranges because he has this new group that he's loyal
That
to.
he's loyal to now. Yeah. They just kind
Um,
of drifted apart, you know?
yeah, Chrissy, I have firmly in the neither tier. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think that
Agreed.
she's like a bad player. It's just like
She's
everything that
not
she,
very good.
yeah, well, everything that she does is just like sure, like she doesn't do anything wrong, but there has been no experimental like what
Hmm.
about this? Like what if I like cuz her position is I guess you could say she's like relatively safe but just zero agency, I
Right.
would say.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she's not in the I think she has the least amount of confessionals. Um Okay, she of people left in the game, she's 10th out of 10, and of the original cast, she's 17th out of 18,
That's crazy.
and she's still in the game. Stephanie, she has four more confessionals than Stephanie, who was the first boot. So
That is wild.
yeah, she's not in the episodes.
I said, who's Stephanie?
Exactly. So yeah, I just she's not winning.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen absolutely nothing in the edit that suggests that she wins.
No.
Um, Even if I really loved her as a winner pick, I couldn't even put her higher than like the low tier of the middle, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't like her as a winner at
There's just
all.
no
So
evidence. Yeah.
no evidence. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much to really say about her. I think I don't know, she is a little bit of an agent of chaos. I think she likes to stir the
Kind
pot
of.
a little. She's a
She's
pot
weird.
stirrer.
She's weird that their tribe never went to tribal council at the beginning,
Mm,
and then she got paired up with Say, and she got wrapped up in the Say orbit where all of her thoughts were related to Say, pretty much,
yeah,
or all of her content.
the Bruce and who was obsessed with getting Bruce out.
Katura.
Katura, she's the Katura of
That's a
Sam.
Twitter echo chamber thing. There is a small, loud group of people who think if Katura went to the end, she would have just won. And like it
Really?
would have been a problem for D if Katura was there.
And Dee's like heralded as is like probably the best new winner.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny.
That's a wild take.
Yeah, it's. I don't get it. I like
Katura.
Katura. She's fine. I don't think she's gonna win the game,
She
man.
was pissing me off by the end that she everything she said had to do with Bruce.
Well, she's the one who fucked it. Where
I
she
know.
like turned on Jake for no reason. Where staying with Jake meant getting rid of D.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's funny because it would have been Jake's move, but he had such this stink on of him, nothing working, that she probably would have got more credit for him, even though it was his idea.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That was
tangent.
talking
That's
Katura.
talking Chrissy.
Right.
Yeah,
David would be next. I can go first for David.
yeah, namesake.
I think I have. I have him at the top of the middle tier.
Hmm.
I don't think he can win, but I think the edit supports him winning.
Yeah,
Is how I have it. I think that I just find it really hard to believe that in 2025 someone can win Survivor like this, to be honest. And that people on the jury that got that you if you're at the end you put some of them there are going to
right.
respect this loyalty game that you played that I just don't see it happening. But I think the edit does support it that he could win. So I just
Yeah,
don't think it's plausible.
yeah. I have pretty much the exact same read. As I had him at the top of that tier. I think the edit is really pushing him as again like a guy to watch, if not to win. Which I think either means he's getting close to the end, or he's about to flame out hard, like
Hmm.
next week or the week after that.
Hmm.
Um, I agree. I think like if this was old school Survivor, and you'd be like, why the hell did they cast Chrissy? It would be because David makes it to the end, and for him to talk about this loyal game that he played with this group of people and Chrissy say, hey, you had an alliance with me first and you voted me out, didn't you? And for her to go scorched earth, and then you're like, oh shit. And then David comes in second place.
She is a scorched earth person. Chrissy.
She is. I could see her easily going scorched earth. There's let's power rank everybody's ability to go scorched earth. I think
Say's number one.
Well, she's gone now.
Yeah, that's true.
She might be number one. Scorched earthers. There's flat earthers and then there's scorched earthers.
I think she is I think there's a pretty big gap between her and number. I think Camilla could go scorched earth.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then maybe Star, maybe? I don't know. I don't even know who would be third.
Yeah. You can get Star rolling a little bit.
Shaheen could go scorched earth.
That would be an eloquent. You're like, fuck, I'm getting like lawyered right now if Shaheen was doing it.
Backed into a corner here. I don't think the rest of them could. I don't know if David, Mitch, Kyle, Eva, or Joe have it really in them.
Joe does not. Joe is a big, like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed kind of guy.
He's a dad. Yeah. Dad lines.
He is one of those guys that, like, he has a family and everything. If you catch him 20 years ago, he would have went in on your ass. But now he's learned to be more gentle.
Like, you see him walking down the street, you crossed to the other side 20 years ago.
He's lost the edge.
His kids know when they really fucked up if he raises his voice.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit.
So I didn't know Dad talked that loud.
I didn't know he was capable.
Get in here now. Puckered. Everyone's puckered.
But yeah, so David, I agree with you. Like in this year, 2025, can you really win Survivor like this? I just think I know people hate it. I do think it's kind of refreshing to see somebody be like honor integrity. Not because I'm like, oh, I wish people would do the honor integrity thing. Like, I wish people would play this game the right way. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I just like seeing someone like completely die on that hill. We gotta be. I like that somebody's willing to do that. But if you go to the final tribal council and you seriously think you're gonna do that, like, get real.
Yeah. It's refreshing to watch, like you were saying, where
it feels old school.
If you just have all game bots, like, even though the strategy is dynamic, it feels the same. It just has the same gut feeling of, like, alliances don't matter. I'm going to do what's best for me. We're going to turn on each other. The strategy's convoluted. You got to think 10 steps ahead, that sort of thing. It's nice to have someone be like, I'm just going to stick with my group, and if anyone doesn't like that, we're going to go after you.
Sure, yeah.
That's face value.
Yeah.
So, Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch I have at the bottom. He's a neither tier for me. I think my personal opinion is that he can't win. I like him. I just don't see a way where he survives 7 more rounds of eliminations. I just don't see it. I also don't think, although he's in the edit and he has a positive edit, I don't think the edit really supports him either. The whole edit is about, like, it's either feel good stuff about him, or you're talking about people, everybody thinks that he's a threat, pretty much. And, like, so there isn't really... I mean, the other thing, too, is, like, he's gone to... So he was the decoy in this tribal council. And the last 2 tribal councils that he went to, which were the only other 2 that he went to, he voted for the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's a bad player, but there's kind of no evidence of him being a good player, if that makes sense.
That's kind of what we were saying before, is like, but from the other side. Like, he kind of, like, just gets shoehorned into, like,
he's just
no
Mitch.
man's land. Yeah, right.
He's just
We're
Mitch.
Like, I just made the argument of everyone being like, he's this giant target, and, like, I'm like, I don't really think he's done anything to warrant a target.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, in a good way, was my argument. Now we're making the argument he hasn't done anything to warrant a target in a bad way.
Right. What has he done? Yeah, I do think that's fair, where I'm like, I look at him and I watch him operate and I hear him talk about the situation and I know he's not a bad player.
Yeah.
But what has he done that's positive?
What have you done for
left
lately?
Out of the original alliance. He, like, extended an olive branch to the pariah, but he didn't read the room and realize that he should just pile on with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, because Cedric couldn't get a hold of him, I guess,
Yeah.
about the Bianca elimination. Like all of a sudden, he's done nothing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I feel the same way. Like I like Mitch a lot. I think he's another one. He's like Star. I like seeing him on my TV every week. Like,
Yeah,
but the edit doesn't support him winning because it hasn't shown anything that like the edit shows a lot of him. He gets a lot of character work,
yeah,
like a lot of character stuff, but he doesn't get a lot of like this person's good at Survivor stuff. So like I'm trying not to conflate those two things. So
mm,
I have him in the bottom tier as well. Don't think he can win. Don't think the edit really supports he can win. I think we just get character stuff from him until he goes. He is Alyssa's favorite player this
there you
season,
go.
which is a stark contrast for who she usually goes for.
Yeah,
She's like, he's just so sweet. And I'm like, what happened to
okay,
Rachel? Right?
yeah,
she and what? She liked all the people on Traders too that were. Uh, she just likes the Housewives. She just likes that style. It's no
yeah,
surprise that she likes Housewives with how she like picks Survivor and Big Brother players. But
yeah.
um, yeah, Mitch. I keep him. Just keep all the. If we get I'd love a Star Mitch. Who else is wholesome? Star Mitch. Give me Star Mitch Eva. Final three.
Yeah. Or Star Mitch Mary.
Or Star Mitch Mary too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle is next.
Yeah. So I think we're done with the bottom two tiers.
Yes.
Kyle and Camilla left.
Yeah.
Um, Kyle, I have as the top of the top tier right now. I think him being explicitly in this alliance, I do think there's a benefit to that for Camilla because you're not so tied to the honesty, integrity deal. Like you're not
Mm-hmm.
if you it's one of those things where um if you turn on someone, you put them on the jury, you're like, hey, maybe they'll vote for him at the end. It's like actually they're more scorned by you because you were so close. Like I do think that could work in Camilla's favor because people would be more scorned by Kyle. Um, the other thing too, though, for me is I think this group has to break up. I'm not of the mind that they go to the final five or
There's too
with
many good
Camilla.
players.
Yeah, with Camilla included, it's the final six. Like, are they really going to vote out? I think they could vote out like Mitch next, but they're really going to do like Mitch, Chrissy, Star, and Mary are going to be the next four boots with all these threatening players. Like Shauheen is not going to let that happen. Kyle and Camilla are not going to let that happen. So yeah, I do think one of them will win. I think a member of that alliance will be the winner. Um, but I don't see it being just that collection of people all at the end. And I think that behooves Kyle the most because when it breaks up, as long as he's not the reason, as long as David's not mad at him, as long as Joe's not mad at him, I think he will still have their respect at the end. He will not have their scorn. And I think the fact that they've included him and not Camilla from the beginning, it just shows like, and you could call it whatever kind of motivations you want. David, he just would vote for Kyle before Camilla. And Joe, he just would vote for Kyle before Camilla. I really think that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like of their duo, I think they've played a similar, a similarly strong game. They've done it in lockstep pretty much the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he'd get more love from a jury at this point. Although
Yeah.
it's 1A, 1B for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna also talk about them kind of together. Where I have them both in that top tier as well. I think the edit
Yeah.
really supports them, and I really support. Camilla was my original adjusted winner pick.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
think
have
that that is trending.
adjusted now?
No, no, I'm gonna keep it Camilla. But
Okay.
I think if I were, I'm gonna keep it Camilla because I'm a man of my. I'm gonna stand on business here. But
You're a man of your word. You could
I'm
get
a
in
man
this
of my word.
alliance.
A man of my word, yeah. But if I just got dropped into this episode, I would probably say it's Kyle. But for a similar reason that you said, where like Camilla is just more like outwardly strategizing, and if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at new era seasons, like that's the person who goes like sixth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Kyle is left with the remnants. Like I think what could happen is, um, Kyle, Camilla, and Xiaoheen end up turning on David,
Hmm.
and then some conglomeration of Xiaoheen, Joe, Eva, Kyle all realize they need to get Camilla out because she's been masterminding it, and
Yeah.
Kyle cuts his losses and ends up standing in a field of dead bodies.
Field of fire.
But I think like that could be a potential path for Kyle there that is probably likely. Um, I just think that they've played. It's hard to differentiate these people sometimes when you have such a duo where they do everything together. It's like how do you pick which one is which one is better or worse, and you really can't. I just think it's that in this season, in this scenario that's been set up, that Camilla is playing more of an outward strategic game, and that is going to get you voted out faster than Kyle. And I think they are truly like equally coming up with these plans. It's just that Camilla is the one that is more outwardly executing them. So,
Yeah,
um, but I'm standing on Camilla. I think we stand Camilla in this
we do.
house.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely talk more Kyle than Camilla in mine. So I would just like to say on Camilla, she is my number two. Like I think she's very close behind Kyle. Um, like even like that vote to get rid of Thomas, they both did so much and they did it so efficiently that they were almost doing like telepathy to the point where like
Mm-hmm.
I give them literally 50-50 credit on that.
Yeah.
Like they each brought one of those advantages to the table. They both had immediate willingness to help each other, and yeah, it's just they are a true duo, and I
Mm-hmm.
do think they'll stick around. I think we're headed for a hell of a finale because although I don't think like the Chrissy Mitch like that group, I don't think they're gonna go necessarily in like very quick succession here, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Mitch is somebody to go soon, and I think if that group breaks up, like I didn't realize until we started talking today, I really think David is the first one to fall from that crew,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think you get like one of Kyle, Camilla, Shauheen will go in that like between like 7, 8, and 9 area,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you're going to be left with like Joe and Eva, Kyle and Camilla, or sorry, Joe and Eva,
Kyle or Camilla.
and then two of Kyle, Camilla, and Shauheen.
Mm-hmm.
I think are all going to make the finale, and then I think like Star is there and maybe Mary,
Yeah.
and like it's going to be a bloodbath. I think because there's a
Yeah.
lot of good people to axe
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah. I think I do like the way that the way that the strategy is going to work out. I do think David is safe until he suddenly isn't.
Right. Which
Yeah.
it looks like next week.
Could be next week. Yeah.
I would love if they did the whole preview pretty much for next time was it starts with David walking up the beach and then it's just intertwined people like talking shit on him and then they go back to him continuing walking. Cut away. More talking shit about
Yeah.
David. Cut back to him and then it ends with Camilla saying he's the biggest idiot on the beach. And I would love if that was about someone else. It would
Yeah.
just crack
Yeah.
me up. I don't know who it would be, but that
Yeah.
would,
I don't know who it would be about either. But yeah, I we'll see how it goes. I suppose. Should I Don chain him?
you should. Hey, we're about to ask you in a second. Real quick though, so just to run down the tiers one more time. So our top tier is Kyle, Camilla, and Joe, and then our middle tier, I think the way that we would order it is probably David, Shauheen, Eva, Mary. I'll side with you on tossing Mary in there. I like Mary,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think we've got Star, Chrissy, Mitch, or
Yes.
Star, Mitch, Chrissy.
Yeah. I think honestly, Chrissy probably has the least chance.
Yeah,
The least chance.
zero juice out of Chrissy.
Yep.
Okay, so that brings us to
Chung chung.
the Dun Chains. So,
Gotta give to.
yeah. So, two, Dave, you got Cedric and Mary, or Cedric and Say finally gone. You still have Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I had Say go for me. I also had Charity previously, and I've got nobody right now. But,
Nice. Congratulations.
yeah.
But your entire team is yet to go, so you're gonna have to give some tough ones, I think, coming up.
Yeah. So, but for this week, it's you and it's two.
Mm-hmm.
You the zoo. You the
Yes.
two.
So I have. We just laid out the tiers.
Yeah.
Do I go against the tiers and use one of these on David because he looks like he may crash and burn next week?
Yeah.
That's the question. Do I try to snipe someone? The easy picks here, for me at least, would be Chrissy and Mitch. I
Yeah.
think they're
Wait,
both.
hold on. Did you do Mitch last week?
Did I do Mitch last week? Oh, I did do Mitch last week.
Sorry, I forgot to add that. I had it highlighted on here. Sorry. Yeah, you also have Mitch. Fuck.
Yes,
Shit.
Mitch. Right. Oh, sorry. I meant. I think based on the easy ones to do would be Chrissy and Eva
Mhm.
because I don't think they win.
Yeah.
However, I think Eva stays around for a while because of Joe.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely doing Chrissy. I don't think she wins in any scenario, and I think that she could go whenever. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really think she goes next week, but I gotta give two, so one of the people can't go next week. Um, so I have Mitch, Chrissy, and Mary
Yes.
Dunchained, which I think I'm sitting in a pretty good spot. Star and Eva both could also. Star and Eva both could get a Dunchain here. Um, I think Eva stays around a long time. I think Star stays around a long time, which means I gotta pick someone from. Like, could you see Star or Eva getting voted out next week? Not really.
No, I don't think so.
I don't even think Chrissy gets voted out next week, but I gotta give it to somebody.
So who are the remaining people from your team?
On my team,
Yeah.
I have Kyle, Camilla, and Star.
Okay, so like I don't think any of them go soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think pretty much anybody who you think goes before the finale is
Right.
fair.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so too. So like I said, I have Mary, Chrissy, and Mitch Dunchained. I think probably one of those people makes the finale.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of Mary sneaking in and getting like fifth
Yeah,
or maybe fire loser.
Fire Loser. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
So I gotta pick one of these Titans, right?
Yeah. It kind of does seem that way, yeah.
And I think just based off of what we just said, I think I'm picking David.
Yeah.
I don't think he can win, and I think that somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
If he
I
can't
agree.
win, he's got to go sometime. So I'm gonna Dunchain him. I just don't think you can win with that. I'm more standing on business. I don't think you can win with that strategy anymore. I don't think you can do it.
Yeah. I think even in the old school, people tried to do the honor integrity thing, and there's been a lot of instances of people getting voted against because it's a tired shtick. And like even somebody like Tom Westman, like Kobe voted against him and is like, it's Katie, this is not a vote for you, it's against Tom. It's just like,
Right.
how long can someone be self-righteous and not practice what they preach before people are just like, I'm sick of this guy? And
Yeah.
so even though a lot of those people did still win early on,
Mm-hmm.
they would often get an earful at Final Tribal. And I think even in by the 20s, it was pretty much proven that like you can't really do that unless you have an insane likability factor.
Right.
You really gotta own it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're just sitting next to somebody who's completely terrible.
Yeah.
So,
And this is not a season where people are terrible.
right. Okay, so David, Mary, Chrissy, and Mitch. I'm assembling a team.
I'd be pissed. I'm assembling a team. I'd be pretty pissed if Shaleen went next week, though.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah,
But then I'd have to give a Dunchain.
that's true.
And then I could do Mitch. So,
Camilla could go
yeah,
if it backfires on her. Back-to-back weeks targeting the loyalty alliance.
yeah. Yeah, she really is just itching to do it,
Yeah.
isn't she? Yeah. So, okay. Well, yeah, I think that about does it for us. So, thank you guys so much for listening. Oh yeah, also Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. And I made another TikTok. Maybe getting back in the realm.
Hell yeah.
But it's on a new TikTok account. I think it's the.reality.gurus because I got locked out of the old one. So yeah, made a couple TikToks. So We'll
Check
see.
them
But
out.
yeah, check them out. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.